Hi, Alicia. Here we are. We're on stage actually here at the Ashby stage. Where you'll be in a few weeks.
Yes.
Doing the third show of our season, Iphigenia in Splott by Gary Owen. For those of you who might not be aware of this, the show goes into previews on July 25th and opens on August 1st, and it's going to it's going to have a 6-week run here. So, the few things I want to ask you about. I'd like to first say this is the first time we've ever done a one-person show. In 34 years of making plays, we've never done something like this before. But I remember reading this play, and I felt like, okay, if there was a show that we were going to break this tradition, this would be that show. Yeah. I wonder if you've been rehearsing the show for a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
I wonder if you wouldn't mind just saying a few words. This from where you're coming from right now, from where you are today.
Yeah.
What's the story about?
Ooh. It's about so many things. It's about community. It's about loss. It's about love. It's about addiction. It's about family, generations. It's about so many things. It's about, I think the biggest thing is community. Yeah. Yeah.
And tell me about the character you're playing and what your character does to illuminate this idea of community for us.
Yeah, so I'm playing Effie, or full name, Iphigenia.
Right.
And Effie is sort of bringing everybody to see this community. We're in Splott, which is in Wales. It's sort of like a suburb of Cardiff.
What do we know about this? What do we know about Splott? How would we know? Describe what Splott would be for us.
Splott is rough. Splott is a rough sort of, think about like a neighborhood in San Francisco, right? If we want to think, or a neighborhood in Oakland, neighborhood somewhere. It's a neighborhood in Cardiff that is very rough. That not all, you know what? I don't want to say all of it is rough. It has its nuances in there, but there's also it's a community of people who have gotten a lot taken away from them in the way of social services. It's a working class community. That's what it is.
I think when I was looking at the play, what came to my mind, it was like Flint, Michigan, or like this sort of like the way that Flint, Michigan was sort of like as this sort of like a town that had an industry at once upon a time. Yeah, there was a thriving community. Had good schools and regular jobs, and then all those things went away, and there was sort of like a shell of this community that was left.
Exactly. Yeah, you take everything out. I thought about my partner's family is from Stockton. Right, it's very similar. This used to be this port city, this beautiful city, and then the city goes bankrupt, and people lose their pensions. People, they've worked forever, and it's working class. And then you take all of that away, and you take services away from people who really need it. And what happens to those people? The things they need, and the people who don't want to see them. But these are the people who are doing the jobs and making it so that we all can keep going. And it's very, very important.
Who's your character in this world? Who is Effie in this world?
Effie is, she's part of the community. She is, she's complex. She's a party girl. She's a sister. She is a granddaughter. She's a daughter. She is a best friend. And she is a force. That's what she is.
In what way?
She... language. She doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
This is who I am. I'm going to show you who I am. I make sure I get all the attention in the room. And you are going to know exactly who I am and how I feel about. She doesn't pull her punches at all. Yeah. Whatsoever. She walks through life. She walks down the street, and she's not going to let you think that you're any better than her. She's not going to let you get one over on her. If she feels a certain way, she's going to tell you how she feels.
Is it fun playing a character like that?
It is, because you know what? It's like...
Is it? Yeah, tell me about that.
I think, a lot of people may, know me and think, oh, you're so nice, you're so this, you're so that. And I am. I grew up with in a military family, and my mom is from the South, and so very much yes, ma'am, no, sir.
Yeah,
that is very much how I grew up, and I love that. But I think there's a part of me, and this is part of the process, and the beauty of who Michelle is, this director, is getting this. We all have Effie in us. We all do, right? This person that needs to get out and to roar and to say, fuck, you know, I need you to hear this. Or why am I saying sorry all the time? Why am I always saying yes? Why don't I say how I actually feel? And that is very freeing in this character that is a challenge for me, which is beautiful. And it's teaching me not just as an actor, but also as a human being. You know?
Yeah. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I know you know this, but I'm not sure if, in case anybody else doesn't know, this story, Iphigenia and Splott, is inspired by the Euripides play Iphigenia and Aulus. Have you had a chance to read that play?
I haven't. Yeah. I'm so into these lines.
I would totally recommend reading that play. And that's a play that we actually did back in 2001 at John Hinkle Park. And the gist of that play, just to let folks know, is Iphigenia is the daughter of Agamemnon and Clytemnestra. Agamemnon is a ruler in Greece, and they have been tasked to go to Troy and bring back Helen, to wage war on the Trojans and bring back Helen, who has run off with Paris and to get up shenanigans. And his brother Menelaus, who was married to Helen, has told his brother, you made this vow that if anything happens to Helen, that we all have to band together and go retrieve her. And he's like, fuck, okay, I did make that promise. And now so they assemble all these Greeks on the beach, and that's sort of like the face that launched 1,000 ships. You've got 1,000 ships and all of these soldiers. The soldiers do something that piss off Artemis, the goddess, and she won't let the winds blow until they make a sacrifice. And the sacrifice that they ask of Agamemnon is his daughter, for him to sacrifice his daughter Iphigenia. And so what he does is he tells his wife that his daughter is to be married to Achilles, and that we're going to have this wedding on the beach. Bring the daughter, and they're all excited. He has a change of heart and doesn't want her to come, but his brother tells him, you can't do it, he can't do it. And by the time he goes to send this letter, it's too late. They've arrived. And as you can imagine, Clytemnestra is very upset, and Iphigenia is very upset. But Iphigenia sees this situation that her father is in, or the promises that he's put. There's like a civil war breaking out with the soldiers who are just getting restless on the beach, and there's all this infighting, and she makes the decision to allow herself to be sacrificed for this greater good of Greek society. And when I remember reading this play, trying to see how it would parallel the story that happens in Iphigenia and Splott, and what the playwright does to sort of like elucidate this thing is, it startled me. I knew something was going to come, but I didn't know how it was going to happen. And it felt so powerful, so poignant, so it felt like a thing that you could imagine happening. Yeah. You know, it was a tragedy, but it wasn't one of those things where, like, I don't see how that could really happen. Like, a guy's really going to sacrifice his daughter to launch her. That isn't really, we're like, really? No. Yeah. But this, what she ends up doing, the sacrifice she chooses to make, is something that people are making.
Yeah, all the time.
Do you want to say... Okay, there's spoilers. I wanted to go into a few little spoilers right here. Just if anybody doesn't want to have spoilers, I wanted to say, yeah, turn on, fast forward about 3 minutes. Yeah. Can you say a few, just to briefly, what is the sacrifice that she is being asked to make?
The sacrifice she's being asked to make is to not. Should I go into what happened?
Yeah, I think you need to.
So she is going...
You know, people are always worried about spoilers, but we go to see Romeo and Juliet, and we know what's going to happen in Romeo and Juliet. You know what I mean? Yeah. Nobody walks into Romeo and Juliet not knowing what's going to happen. And I think that's not going to take away anything from the power of the show, knowing this. I promise you.
I don't think so, no. And so, you know, she has this moment with this person, and it's overwhelming, and there's all these things.
Whose name is Lee.
And she ends up getting pregnant. and she decides to have this baby, which is a very big thing for her, especially the life that she leads and the people around her kind of saying
her circumstances, her financial circumstances, her life
no
circumstances.
Job, no nothing. Yeah. And she decides to have this baby because it's this feeling of not alone. Right. Mm-hmm. And this baby is fueling that. And the potential she can see. Right, she's starting to see more for herself, and
having this child, what that opens up for her, and how that could change her life.
And then I think also this idea, and that what one of these big things of love, to love and to be loved, and what that is, and to see that and understand that you are worthy of love and you can give love.
Yeah,
and that's a beautiful thing, and to then come to that realization and to embrace that. And then at 29 weeks, complications ensue. And due to her circumstances and the circumstances of the government cutting cutting services for the maternity unit, she ends up not being able to have a baby in special care that she should at 29 weeks. And then needing to be in an ambulance to go an hour and a half away on a road that's shouldn't be even accessible. It's a rickety road. And unfortunately, snowing. And unfortunately, the baby comes early and the paramedics aren't able to help her because she also should have a midwife in there with her. And she doesn't due to circumstances. And losing that baby, losing that idea of being loved and to love. And then knowing that she can sue, she will receive a good amount of money because it was the hospital's fault. It was the healthcare system's fault. And making that choice to say, if I take this money, this takes away from other people, though, in a system that is already failing. If I take this massive amount of money, that means that a mom can't get the cancer help she needs. It means another mom possibly will lose a baby. It means your friend might not get the services that they require. So I'm going to sacrifice what is owed to me, what I need, and also the potential that money could bring me, even though that's not what she needs.
Yeah.
I'm going to sacrifice that for the greater good of everybody else. So no one has to go through what I just went through.
Yeah.
So people can have what they need.
Yeah, it is a stunning, startling, tragic choice. Mm-hmm. I mean, in a series of tragic choices that are being made. And what made me also think is being also told, if you make this decision, how it's going to take away from others, is really, if you back that up, that's just a decision of a government that's just choosing to prioritize where its money is going, rather than to battleships or whatever.
Right.
It could, you know, it's not like the money doesn't exist.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, maybe in that department it doesn't exist, but it's not like, you know, you could like, well, why is that? Why are we asking this person to have to shoulder the burden of choices that are being made beyond her?
Yeah. And I think that's also the very interesting and beautiful thing about this play is written in 2015, probably a little bit before that, right? And yet it is still so prevalent. And it breaks my heart to think in 10 years, is it still going to be prevalent?
Yeah.
And I see it in my communities. I see it, you know, for me, you know, my mom is Black and she comes from a very poor town in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And, you know, knowing especially what Black communities go through regarding healthcare, women's healthcare, it hit me so hard.
Maternal mortality, like women, yeah.
Exactly. And for me, it hit me so hard, and it's so present. Yeah. You know? So present.
I'm wondering, like, when you were prepared, you know, so you went to the series. We had multiple auditions for this role because, you know, it's such a challenging role. We wanted to make sure we saw a lot of people. You did an extraordinary job at the audition.
Thank you.
You really won this role, and then now you've said it's offered to you, and you have to say, oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
So when you say yes to a one-person show that's 80 minutes long, however long it is, like, what kind of preparation did you do as an actor to get ready for the beginning of rehearsals?
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing I've tried to find out what Splott was like, what is Cardiff like, right? To really get into these areas, working with.
What does that do for you? How does that help your process to find out what Splott are? And is Splott a town inside of Cardiff? Is it sort of like
it's almost like what the Mission District is in San Francisco, or what the Inner Richmond, you know what I mean? It's just a section in Cardiff. Mm-hmm. It's like a 10, 12-minute bus ride away from downtown Cardiff.
Got it.
Right? And so for me, it's important because, and some of that is like literally going on YouTube, looking at walking tours, looking at people's nights out, which is important for Effie.
Sure.
Right? Is
like Instagrams, people's reels,
exactly.
stories,
and then YouTube is so interesting because there's these people that will go out at night, especially in downtown Cardiff, and talk to people, and you see what this life is like. And for me, it puts me in her mindset. You know, what is a night out like for Effie? What is it walking around? There's a whole thing on Splott, and you see, you know, some of the really rough parts, and I think that is really interesting to be in there. And then working with the dialect coach Emma was great.
Yeah, tell me about that, because I have to say, one thing, I went to watch a design run recently, and I have to say, I watched the design run, and I looked at what I'd written down. I didn't write one thing down about the accent, your accent work, which is extraordinary. I'm like, you know, you're like, what's he going to say? But I was like, wow, you're doing a great job with the dialect.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, especially because sometimes when people think of Wales, they think of one accent, but what you realize is there's so many in Wales. North Wales is so different from South Wales, where Cardiff is. And so there are some things that maybe are like, oh, that sounds like that could be somewhere else in the UK. But then there's these things that they have, right? And so working with Emma on what those things are, the relaxation, and also talking to her. She lived in Splott for a while. So that was the
And how did you get connected with Emma?
I had actually found Emma online, and I didn't know. And Gracie, our wonderful Gracie
Brakeman, our production manager.
Yeah, she had reached out to her and found out more about her, and that Emma actually helped do the dialect coaching for Sophie Melville, who originated the role. Yeah, and Emma has lived in Cardiff, the Cardiff area, forever, and she's been talking and doing dialect coach. So she works with local, you know, actors all over the UK who are doing stuff in Wales, also doing theater productions. But she was so insightful also of really shaping what this world is like. Right.
What did she? Yeah, give me an anecdote of something that she said.
Yeah, and so she had told me, you know, a very interesting story. She told me, I was like, tell me more about Splott, because she said, oh yeah, you know what, we had our baby and we ended up getting a place in Splott. And she was like, Splott is interesting because one block it can be very scary, and the next block it can be fine. And she was like, but everybody knows each other. She's like, I remember one day I had my baby, I was out of it, you know. She's like, you know how it is, you have a baby and you're like, what day is it, what time is it? And she's like, I literally left my door unlocked and halfway open, and I didn't get home from a walk till an hour later, and it was fine.
Wow.
And it was totally fine. And she was like, and people may not think that about Splott, but it is nuanced, right? And I thought that was such an interesting, it sort of stuck in my head. And she was just wonderful she told me recently about how, and I thought this was interesting for this particular play, she was like, Welsh people are fantastic storytellers.
Well, yeah.
And she said, the best storytellers I've ever met are just sitting at a pub. And I just thought, this play is such a person telling a story. Yeah. And it really resonated with me, because sometimes it can, you know, it's overwhelming to think of doing a one-woman play in 80 minutes. And, you know, I have my moments. And when she said that, though, I thought, what if you think of it like that?
Yeah. She's at the bar talking to this person.
Exactly.
Yeah, how many times have you sat at the bar? No, I don't know. Maybe not many times if you sat at the bar, but has one sat at a bar and somebody's talked their ear off for an hour and 15 minutes?
Exactly. And it's been so engaging.
Sure.
Right? And so it was sort of this weird thing that happened, this switch where I was like, oh, maybe I need to start thinking of it like this, right? We're just sitting at a bar and I'm telling people who need to be told this story, but how can I approach it in that way?
Yeah, and something I always thought about, and I shared this with Michelle when I was watching this, is like, even though you're the only person that speaks in the show, in a lot of ways, the way it works is it's almost like you're having a conversation with us. I mean, we're listening to this conversation. We're not responding with words, but we're responding with our laughter or a gasp or the way that our breath changes in there, and that you're, even though you're doing all the talking, it feels like it's a conversation that you're having. That it's not a dialogue, but it feels like a conversation.
Yeah, it does, and it's so interesting because how Gary wrote it is brilliant. It is like poetry. It is crazy. It is absolutely brilliant. And so it takes you on this ride. And First Taste was so interesting because how obviously how it's written and then what we bring to it, people are gasping, people are laughing, people are going, oh my God, because we are creating this world that they are living in.
Yeah.
And that I think is the beauty of telling a story well, is that, oh my gosh, I'm in this. And oh, that's a surprise. Oh, that's heart-wrenching, and this is done beautifully in that way. Yeah.
So you just dropped First Taste. For those of you who don't know it, the First Taste for us is like the first rehearsal, for this show, it wasn't technically the first rehearsal. Y'all had a couple chances to meet before, but it's basically something that happens at the very beginning of the rehearsal process where we do a read through of the play, and we serve hors d'oeuvres, and there's wine and drinks and things like that. And I have to say, like, I've been hosting these First Tastes for many, 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 many years, and I think I can count on like one finger the number of times that it ended with the audience like standing up and giving it a standing ovation at the first read through of the show. I mean, that sort of speaks to the power of the show, and also like what you're already being able to bring to it, even at this early part of the process.
Yeah, it's very, I don't know, and the more we dig into it, it's so interesting to uncover all these little things. And like I said,
share one little thing that's sort of a discovery. I'm kind of curious what kind of discoveries. I mean, a great play is something that you will continue to discover it.
Yeah.
On the closing night.
Yes.
Like.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't think it's a surprise. We talked about it. She's an alcoholic, right?
Yep.
Has an alcohol issue. And it's like, yes, I know that. And I've been working with a friend to really get down my lines, right? It's 80 minutes. It's a lot to take in. And we were going over this section, and there's a section where it says, I haven't touched anything in weeks. And he goes, and I didn't think anything of it. And he goes, what do you think? He goes, do you know what it means? Like, he wasn't trying to like tell me anything. I was just trying to remember that word. And he was like, I don't know if you know this, but for an alcoholic to touch, they always say, I haven't touched anything. An addict, I haven't touched anything. And something about that switched me, and I thought, such an interesting thing. I never thought of it in that way of like, I haven't touched anything in weeks. And it was this thing that sort of opened something up in me to think about more of how that is for her to not touch anything in weeks, to be this alcoholic and to make this choice that like, no, this is right. I know this is right. This is right. Because it's so easy for her to not make that choice. Yeah. She's very close to not making that choice and to live her life the same way she's living it. But to make that choice and say, I'm taking a different path for me, it just sort of like something went doop. And I went, okay. And it just started to click more.
One of the things that I've just using the word choice, this is an active character. Mm-hmm. This is a person who is making they often feel she's a person who was responding to her impulses. Yeah. She sees someone at the bar and knows right away she wants to be with that person. Yes. She's, I don't want to go. Well, the things that she chooses to do when she's trying to track down Lee, how she responds, telling the truth to her boyfriend about his father. It is that she is an incredibly honest person. For someone who can make choices that we might go like look down on or disparage. Like you didn't make a good choice, but you can't really deny the fact that she's not being honest with herself. Regardless. Yeah, that's taking the money. You know what I mean? Yeah. That her mother leaves in the thing. She's definitely somebody who is not a passerby in her life.
No, and I think that is the thing for me is that is so. It's multi-layered. It's empowering. It's scary. It's overwhelming. It's interesting. It's all of these things because yes, we can judge her. We do judge her. Yeah. We all know Effies in our life and we judge them. But
have been Effies in our lives.
Or have been Effies in our lives, right? Yeah. But then you think this is like you just said, this is not someone who's a passerby in their, like, you know, they are very active. She's very active in her life, and she has agency. She knows, like, this is who I am, and I'm not apologizing for it. And yes, all her choices aren't perfect, right? And sometimes she's brash and she's mean and she's in your face.
Yeah.
But also, this person is caring and loving and will do anything for anybody, you know? And I think that is very, I don't know, I think that's amazing, right?
Yeah, the choice that she makes, not what she chooses not to do.
Yes.
When she confronts Lee with his wife.
Yes.
And child. What
Right.
she chooses. I mean, what as I'm thinking about this, you know, this is a play that, so you could easily turn this, like, poor Effie the victim.
Mm-hmm.
You know, poor Effie, like the victim of circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I think the play works is because she is a person who is, she is making the decisions in her life.
Yeah.
Like she has given circumstances that are surrounding her,
Right.
that are her obstacles or struggles for her, and how she navigates them is what inspires us,
Right.
or endears us to her, and also keeps her from being someone who we feel sorry for. You know, we are rooting for her.
Yeah.
And then we're ultimately grateful for her,
Right.
as someone who, I mean, fuck, I don't know. It's hard, you know. It's just like it is. The tragedy is that she has to make the choices that she has to make.
It is. And she doesn't want anybody to feel sorry for her.
No.
That's the thing. She's not asking anybody to feel sorry for
Yeah,
her.
she doesn't want your pity.
No. That's the last thing she wants. She does not want your pity. You know, she wants you to understand something for the greater good. That is the interesting part. Understand what I've done for the greater good, and to understand, to get out of this bubble you're in, to see everything that's going on. So it's, yes, I'm telling you about my circumstance, but I'm not the only circumstance, right? And it's like, see what else is out there. Take off the rose-colored glasses, you know?
I feel like in some ways, and I share this with Michelle as well, but in some ways that thing at the end, and almost she's including herself in the complicity of the way that the place that we're in, because what I notice her as someone who at the beginning is just kind of like looking at the world through her own day-to-day, what I want, and then as it goes on, she starts looking at life through other people's eyes,
right.
through the daughter's eyes, through the wife's eyes, through, you know, even that mother pushing the buggy.
That mom,
the mom who at the beginning, she's like, couldn't, like, you know, even the boyfriend that she cares enough about to even be honest with him.
Yeah.
And that there's, and that she's able to, she has this sort of like really narrow vision of the world that over the course of the play encompasses all of us.
Yeah.
Including her, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm curious, you know, I don't know how much time you've had a chance to think about this or what y'all have talked about in the rehearsal space. And I often kind of hesitant to like feel like you're doing a play that like we're doing a message play, you know. We want, you know, but I don't want it to feel like it's broccoli theater. Like this is good for you, and now you're going to be a better person after this.
Right. Yeah.
But I am curious if y'all have talked about what you hope a conversation the audience might have after the show. Like what are you hoping that people will go home if they're all in the BART with somebody or in the car with somebody or they run into somebody in the coffee shop the next day? What do you hope they might want to talk about after experiencing this play?
I hope they talk about truthfully how they feel. I hope they talk about how it impacted them. Did they see themselves in Effie? Did they see themselves in Kev? Did they see their brother in Lee? Did they see themselves even in the midwife, right?
The mom,
right? Like, do they see themselves, and what does that mean for them? To have a conversation of, you know what? Like, I am Effie in a lot of ways, or I want to be Effie in a lot of ways. I want to actually say what I mean. I want to step into myself, you know? And then also, hey, maybe I need to look a little bit outside of my bubble, right? I think we are in a place in time where, you can look outside your bubble and see everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And so what does that look like? And if that is too overwhelming, understandably, then what do I look at in myself, right? What are the things I want for myself? What do I want to say to myself? What do I want to say to others? How do I want to make a change even in myself, right? And maybe that it just starts with that. I think that is the biggest thing. What is display?
What are my values? Like, what are the things that because she gets to learn who she is because she is faced with these like life, death, like these existential dilemmas.
Right.
And so she gets to see who she is. She gets to learn who she is because of those.
Right.
Yeah, one of the things I've thought about just recently about the show are like, where are the places where I have agency or voice to do something so that people don't have to make a decision like that. Like, where are the ways what are the things that we should be doing upstream to change what's coming downstream? You know, how are we changing the whole ecosystem? I don't know where to take that metaphor, you know. But how are we able to go back to what creates these situations that can be so that put people in these predicaments?
Totally. And it's a process, but maybe you start to think about that after this.
And just at least do the discovery and talk about what that is. Cool. And something you're looking forward to in the next few weeks of rehearsal. Anything that's sort of like on your mind? Like, you're like, where are you? Where are you with it right now? What are you most curious about or excited about, or,
I'm going to be totally transparent. I'm in a place of like, you know, just because it's like, you're really trying to solidify those lines. You're really trying to create this world. And
who is she? What is her physicality? How does she move in the world? Yeah.
What's her physicality like? How she moves in the world? How she enters each scene, and I think I'm looking forward to and trying to trust that process is coming, to be present each rehearsal, and because let's be honest, there's fear. Like, I want to be totally transparent.
Yeah, there's got to be. There's got to be.
There's fear, and there's been moments where the fear has taken over, where I've been like, what?
Yeah.
No, this was, I was like, and I have to talk myself. I had that earlier today, because I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't, I'm not remembering this one, blah, 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 and I said, this is what you're feeling in this moment, this fear. But this fear does not need to be a fear that transfers every day forward. How present can I be in rehearsal? Yeah. To trust myself, to trust this team. I trust the team, but more importantly, to trust myself and to be present to what is going to happen. The magic, I think, of theater, of like to let go. That is the biggest thing that I'm learning in this. How can I let go? I have control over some things, but how can I let go? Yeah. And to move through each rehearsal and each space and each tech and each performance, to be present and truthful and to learn. Yeah. I think that's the beautiful thing, is that what a surprise, I'm a control freak. Yeah. And I want things to be perfect. There's nothing as perfect. That's why I'm doing that. But there is something to be learned about what just happens organically, and just to let that be. And that's going to be a beautiful thing, because also I'm from the training of, I just want to show up and be truthful for what this moment is. I never want to repeat a moment. No. Because then it's not truthful, right? Yeah. What is in this moment, and then let it be. And I'm going to learn something from that. Good or bad. Yeah. I was just listening to an interview with a woman who's been a company member at Steppenwolf for a number of years, and they're doing a show that we're actually looking at doing next season. It's a terrifying play. I mean, it seems like an almost impossible play to do. And this person has been in
dozens of plays. And she goes, these are all actors in their 50s, early 60s who've done all this, and we're all absolutely terrified. And the thing that we're trusting is like to like rather than avoid that fear, but like to embrace it, like just like, okay, you don't want it to overwhelm you, but don't make a choice that avoids fear, but like just know that you're not going to die. You know, no one's going to die doing this. And so, I think people go to the theater because they want to see people do terrifying things. Yeah. And that's part of what part of what's inspiring for us. Yes, it's the story, but it's also the Herculean, however you pronounce it, or the Herculean effort of this actor to do this really, terrifying thing, leap from this tall building and like,
and you're like, I hope there's something to land on.
Yeah, exactly. Right? But you're gonna figure it out on the way down.
Exactly. You just have to trust it. It's so the fear is just like, I tell people, I don't want to say it because it sounds so extreme, but it is this thing that feels almost physically painful. Yeah. Because you're just like, oh my gosh, this is scary, but there is a thrill there. Yeah. If you embrace it. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is what I'm trying to learn is you can't, avoiding it isn't really going to help.
No.
So I have to embrace it. Well, also like being centered. Yeah. But there is the beauty of that is I'm learning something from it, and I'm going to be a better person, a better actor. Yeah. Everything.
And inspire a lot of people in the audience. Yeah. Well, and you've got a great team, like you said earlier, like the director, Michelle Tagaro's done like spectacular work with our company. I've known her for, 30 years,
Amazing.
And she's such a thoughtful leader, theater artist. She's so dialed in. You talk about being truthful, to bring out true performances from her actors and to
so
really challenge her designers to do exciting work. So
yeah, she's amazing. Yeah. I think I'd noticed right in the beginning we work the same way with how we break down a character, and it's so empowering and juicy, and she just sees me. You know, and it's amazing. And then Inkadu, our stage manager, really it's this perfect
it's good partnership.
Yeah,
good
it
partnership.
Really is. Yeah.
Alicia, thanks for making time with us on a Sunday afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I know you're on your way to rehearsal right now.
I am. Yeah.
Great. Well, have fun. Have fun being scared. We look forward to seeing folks. Our previews, like I said, was July 25th, the first preview. Yeah. Opens August 1st, and it's going to run until before Labor Day. Yes. I know that, and through the end of August. Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.